Welcome back to the channel where I provide regular cricket content on interesting topics. Today's video is the finale of my rundown of who I believe were the 15 best bowlers of the 2000s. We have had some cracking bowlers so far, but the cream rises to the top, and I believe these 5 are almost indisputable. I do wonder, however, if my number 4 could raise some eyebrows. I have been looking into their stats, their top performances and their overall ability to help with my decisions. A very quick shout out goes to Anwesh Chatterjee, who got my top 5 correct in the comments of the previous video. Well done to you. Shall we get started with the top 5? Number 5, Dale Steyn. Scary eyes, a sprinting run-up and a manic celebration have all made Dale Steyn one of South Africa's most feared fast bowlers ever. Extreme pace, the ability to swing the ball both ways, and accuracy have perhaps made him the country's best ever. At the peak of his powers, Steyn possessed an athletic physique, a repeatable and fluent action, and a ripper of an outswinger. Amazingly, he played just 7 first-class matches before he was selected for South Africa, making his debut against England in 2004. It was also a game which saw the debut of AB de Villiers, so whoever was the lead selector then deserves a bonus. What is interesting about Steyn was that he didn't start his career with a flourish. In fact, he was relegated to playing for Essex in the county championship following his initial South African selection. But in what is a credit to the man, he worked on his technique and his fitness to develop himself into the world-class cricketer who would go on to break South African records. The world really sat up and took notice of Steyn, where his extra yard of added pace caused the Kiwis trouble, both home and away in 2007. A visibly fired-up Steyn took 10 wickets in the first test in Johannesburg. Then, shortly after lunch on the first day of the second test in Centurion, he delivered a short ball to Craig Cumming, who missed. The ball crashed into his face and sent him to intensive care. From then on, there was no stopping Steyn. He would go on to take 172 wickets in the 2000s at an average of just under 24, at a strike rate of exactly 40. Only one man on this list can beat that frequency of taking wickets. Such was Steyn's impact on the game that he actually got better as his career went on, becoming the dominant fast bowler in world cricket in the 2010s. However, for his record and hostility, I believe the South African is a worthy number 5 in the best bowlers of the 2000s. Number 4, Shane Warne. Number 4, I hear some of you cry, who could possibly be ahead of him? Well, hear me out. Firstly, as I have mentioned in previous videos, I am a huge Shane Warne fan. I was from the moment he destroyed the English in 1993. I loved his style of bowling, his charisma and the fun he brought to the game. All that aside, every great bowler had their good and not so good years, and probably Warne's biggest drop in form was right at the start of the 2000s. For various reasons he had distractions away from the game, and as a result his average over the first couple of years was actually 32. This includes that epic series in India where Warne was pretty toothless, taking just 10 wickets at an average over 50. Again, before anyone jumps on me, I know he came back, and during the mid-part of the decade he was back to his best. I have after all judged him to have been the 4th best bowler of the decade. I am not saying he was rubbish. I just think probably on balance he was slightly better in the 90s than the 2000s. That is just my opinion anyway, and I always remind you that I am just some idiot from England making videos on his laptop. Number 3, Shoaib Akhtar. Has there ever been a more intoxicating sight in fast bowling history than Akhtar in full flight? There was a fair amount of theatre involved as well, what with the chains bouncing up and down and the menacing stares. The appropriately named Rawalpindi Express was a captain's dream as well. If his skipper needed a wicket, there was no one in world cricket more likely to take one. In the 2000s he took a wicket every 39 balls. That is truly incredible. I can't remember any player in history who matched that for an extended period. Of course, when you talk about Akhtar, pace is the first thing that comes to mind. But a lot of people sleep on the movement he was able to generate. Shoaib has a back catalogue of some of the best in swingers in the history of cricket, seemingly splattering stumps at will. If he wasn't breaking stumps, he was breaking toes. When he hung up his boots after a series of injuries took their toll, Akhtar had taken 144 wickets at an average of 22.1. If you add that to his staggering strike rate, he is a worthy number 3 in this list. Number 2, Glenn McGrath. No matter how I battle with it in my mind and look for holes in the annoying Aussies game, I simply have to doff my cap to his record and excellent performances. Unlike Warne, I never liked McGrath. He was grumpy and uninteresting both in terms of his personality and his bowling style. Contrast for a second how exciting it was to see Akhtar flying into bowl, to then McGrath just trundling in to drop it on a perfect length at fourth stump. Don't get me wrong, I appreciated his ability, it was impossible not to. But it just didn't do much for the spectators in my view. Again however, his achievements were undeniable. Take that tour of India in 2000 where Warne really struggled in a spin-friendly environment. What about McGrath? Oh, he just took 17 wickets at an average of 15 against the likes of Sachin, Dravid and Laxman. What about when he was deep into his late 30s and the Ashes were on the line? Oh, he still took bucket loads of wickets at under 24. You know what, ultimately it is just that I am bitter and scarred from the fact this man took 157 wickets against my beloved England. It was only him rolling his ankle in 2005 which gave us that shot to win the urn back. Over the course of the 2000s, Pidge took 297 at an average under 21. Enough said, he earned position number 2. Number 1, Muralitharan. If you have got this far through the video, you must have worked out that I was going to have the great Sri Lankan as number 1. Some people discredit him due to his controversial action, but in my view he was cleared by the authorities so all his achievements stand. Murali's career is just an onslaught of staggering statistics, but this one earned him his place at number 1 for the decade. In the 2000s he took 565 wickets, yes you heard that right. In terms of 5-wicket hauls he took comfortably more than the second and third places in the wickets tally, Warne and Intini, combined. Hell, he took 90 wickets from just 11 test matches in 2006 alone. Murali was great to watch, played the game with a smile on his face, had more Player of the Series awards than anyone and took nearly 600 wickets at an average under 21. If that isn't good enough for you to have him as your number 1, then I think you need to see a doctor. That wraps up this top 15 list, and it has been really fun recounting some of these great bowlers. It is funny that out of the top 15 there was only 3 spin bowlers, but they were powerhouses in their own rights. As ever, I would love to hear what you guys think. Shoaib over Warne may be controversial, but I point back to that incredible strike rate and average of the pace bowler before you all call me stupid. Thank you everyone for watching and participating. I will be back in a couple of days with another cricket video for your entertainment.